going on? Welcome to another episode of Back for Our Future, the show that goes back to look at our past through movies and cinemaplexes and yours. With me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy with the steel trap memory, Tony. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, bud. I mean, I wish we could meet under better circumstances for some of these episodes every once in a while, but yeah, I mean, hanging in there.
Well, just real quick before we jump into this and we'll set up what the episode's about, I just wanted everyone unanimously, whenever you listen to this podcast, it doesn't even matter if it's 2 years from now, this episode happens so close to Tony's birthday. So happy birthday, Tony, from everyone in the podcast family. They all said it at once. I'll give a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday. Now everyone said it at once.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. So one of the cool things about this episode is that we usually record like a couple weeks in advance. And the great thing about this particular episode is that we're doing it literally the day before it drops. So that's not normal for us, but we're going to be a little more current than we normally are and not be like a week or two behind because we're actually going to record today and then drop it tomorrow. So hope everyone likes that.
Yeah, no joke. So this has been an interesting... Let's just a short precipice on the show. We set the show up to talk about old movie theaters we loved and the movies we saw together. And then over the course of this, we've had quite a few tribute episodes because we've lost a lot of really tremendously amazing actors. And we decided a while back, and I think it was your call and it was a very good one, that we would, if they had an impact, which most of them have, but if they've had an impact, we would take a moment to talk about their careers, some of their movies. And, this episode's no different than any of the other tributes because we recently lost Diane Keaton. And I have a special place for her in my heart because she was one of my aunt has passed away, but she was one of my aunt's favorite actors. And I remember seeing quite a few of her movies with her and my cousins. And my aunt died relatively young. So, it's one of those things of like, it always hits home when somebody you like passes away that especially has inspired you. But this one was another one of those where it like kind of gut punched a little bit. So today's episode is about Diane Keaton. I guess that's really all the setup we need. So I'll let you take it away, Tony. What do we got? What are we talking about? Let's celebrate Diane Keaton.
Well, one of the great things about Diane Keaton is that, she is known for being kind of the romantic comedy queen in a lot of ways. That's kind of where her career ended up taking her. She's a very talented actress. She can do anything, but romantic comedy was kind of her niche throughout her career. But I mean, one of the great things is about her career when you look at it from top to bottom is that she was never afraid to keep working. And when I say that, I mean, a lot of actors or a lot of stars, especially, and people that have made it bigger in movies, they'll tend to be very picky about the projects that they take. And they want to, people that are at the top of the movie food chain, so to speak, want to stay there. And they want to be able to take movies that are going to keep them as a star in theaters. She was not afraid to take TV movies in between starring vehicles, and I think you'll see it as I kind of go through her credits and we kind of take a deep dive into her work. But that's one of those things that you don't see a lot, and she was never afraid to just be an artist and work with directors that weren't huge and directors that were huge and actors that weren't huge and actors that were huge. She really diversified her entire career. That's something that's kind of rare in the business, to be real honest with you. And especially back in her era, for sure. And nowadays, it's a lot more blended because we've got so many streamers and things of that nature. And the business is a lot different than it used to be. But she definitely did a great job of blending her credits. And, we're going to start off with Lovers and Other Strangers, which is her first movie that she did in 1970, which was a comedy, and had a great cast. And if you haven't checked it out, I would recommend it. You know, have you seen that
Yeah,
movie?
I have not. I have
Yeah,
not. In fact, like when I look at her list, obviously Godfather's on it, but I think because I didn't watch the God. I mean, obviously Annie Hall.
we're gonna
I
get to
think
that.
for her list, yeah,
We're
we'll
gonna-
get to them.
Yeah.
I'm further down in the list before I really caught up with who Diane Keaton was. If I'm being really candid about it.
Uh, so one of the great things is she, like a lot of the older actors, gets her start, and we talked about this with Robert Redford too. Is gets her start in TV, and so she's got a lot of great TV credits. Love American Style is what she does is next, and that's a wonderful TV show. If anyone's never seen it, it's kind of in the same vein as like a Love Boat, where you get a lot of these great guest stars, but this is done a little bit different because it's done in uh, anywhere from 1 to 4 different short story vignettes, and they're all about like romance and love and things like that. But it's a comedy for sure. It's kind of a romantic comedy TV show, and it was an hour-long show. But really great show. If you never caught it, it's iconic and got an iconic theme song as well. And then she's on Night Gallery, of
Yeah,
course.
boy,
Night Gallery.
classic.
She's on the TV series The FBI, which is one episode arcs on all these, and then she's on one of the classic shows of all time. And I just recently, a couple of years ago, went back and watched the TV show Mannix,
Oh yeah,
which is I went back and watched every single episode from start to finish, and got to her episode. I very very vividly remember it. But she's in a pretty iconic episode of Mannix, and should definitely check that out. She's great. She's in Men of Crisis, the Harvey Wallinger story, which is like her first TV movie. So of course she's still in TV at this point, but then of course here comes the one of the iconic roles. Of course, not a romantic comedy, but one of the all-time great movies, The Godfather. And you can tell you want to tell your Godfather story?
which one? The fact that I got into a fight over having not seen it for so long.
Well, you can tell the whole thing. I mean, you didn't see this movie until what, like within the last 10 years?
Yeah, it was because every time I tried to start it, I couldn't make it through. I couldn't. And there was a guy that worked with Tony and I, a gentleman named David, and he loved that movie, and he would get so frustrated with me that I just wouldn't watch it. I just wouldn't watch The Godfather, and it's just because I for whatever reason couldn't connect. I've never been a big mafia film person. I mean, I like more of the Scorsese side of it, like Goodfellas, but yeah. So the Godfather side of things is it. It nearly cost me a friendship because we got so heated over it, and multiple times because he couldn't believe. And I would just tell everybody I would troll people and say it was garbage. It's not. It's a great movie. It's just not. It's not something I'll revisit very often.
It's hard to revisit it sometimes because it's a very long movie.
Yeah.
So we start with that, right? And then, but it's a classic, no doubt. I mean, The Godfather, depending on who you ask, and of course you have a different opinion of it, but I mean, it is, an iconic film. I went, the last several years, they were playing it at a movie theater, and I, of course, never saw it in the movie theater because it came out in, 1972, which is 4 years
Right.
before I'm even born. And so I actually went to the theater and watched it, so I could say that I saw The Godfather at a movie theater, which it was quite amazing. But yeah, maybe you like the Scorsese side with all the really really bad language and high levels of violence.
The funny part is my kids. So a lot of times driving to school in the morning, there's a radio show that does this thing called the Age Game, and if I win, which is not often, but when I do win because it's celebrities and I don't know anybody's age, I don't even know my age. When I win, I immediately change it to the movie channel. It just plays scores, and the little one, Pearl, whenever she hears it, she hears. Bah, 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 bah. She knows like within 3 or 4 notes. She's like, "Oh, that's Godfather." And she remembers it because it's in Zootopia, They do that. And then
Right.
she's like, do the voice. And then I have to do the voice of like, you've come to me. And it's a terrible, terrible impression, but makes my kids happy. But again, it is an iconic movie. Like even my little ones who have been raised on K-pop Demon Hunter still appreciate it for what it is musically.
So I once won a radio contest. Um, and got to have dinner with some cast members from The Sopranos here.
Yeah,
And because I did the Godfather Marlon Brando impression on the radio, and I won with that.
that's incredible.
It was like it's a guy we used to have on KMOX named John Carney, who's a St. Louis legendary guy on the radio here, and he had a show that was kind of late night, which is in my wheelhouse, of course, and I would listen to him all the time back in the late '90s and stuff. And it was during the second season of The Sopranos, and he had this. They knew they were coming. Some people were coming in town, and so they had this big, Sopranos swag bag contest and things like that, and they were giving away, uh, passes to go have dinner with the cast members and go watch this an episode of the new season with them and to preview the new episode and stuff at this place. It's this high end restaurant called Harry's that was here in St. Louis. That's now since closed, but yeah, I won that contest. So I've my Godfather uh, impression is legendary. Of course, I had to do it with Casper too, which was awful.
Oh my God. That's too good.
But yeah, so I mean, and of course, she works with Richard Castellano in The
Mm-hmm.
Godfather, where he plays Clemenza, and she had worked with him previous on Lovers and Other Strangers, because he's in Lovers and Other Strangers as well. So you'll see a lot of that throughout her career, is that she works with people that she's familiar with. A lot of times, I mean, she branches out a lot. She's very diverse, but she does work with a lot of people that she's constantly collaborating with, and you're gonna see that in the next movie that she's gonna do, because she's gonna do a movie called Play It Against Sam, which was a Broadway hit as well, and she's gonna work for the first time with the great Woody Allen.
Right. Yeah. And look, and Woody Allen in the 70s, I guess it drips maybe a little bit in the 80s, but his stuff in the 70s, she'll get to another credit here when she does another one, maybe one of her more famous ones. But that stuff, again, that was film school stuff for me. I went back and watched it when I finally had the ability to pay attention. And it's just classic. And her demeanor, sort of her on-screen demeanor, is that of I don't know. There's an attractiveness to her. It's the star quality, sure, but there's also just something that like always made me lean in when I rewatch these. Of course, this would have been in the 2000s. But it did make me lean in, so I appreciate her performance with the great Woody Allen.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of her working with Woody. Clearly, they had a chemistry.
Yeah.
That's they were a romantic a couple at some point too. And this is around the time that they are a romantic couple, because they work together, and then they kind of become a romantic couple, and they're together for a couple of years. And then I think by the time they get to the next movie, which is Sleeper, which is in 1973, which is also Woody Allen and Diane Keaton. I think that's around the time that they were kind of starting to separate a little bit. But Sleeper's another classic Woody Allen movie as well. And, listen, I mean, this is where she starts becoming the romantic comedy queen darling. And you're starting to see that happen. And she's not quite there yet. She will be soon. But this is kind of where those roots are starting to get planted a little bit. And of course, then she's 1974. She's in another Drew Hall classic, The Godfather Part 2, playing Kay Adams yet again. Did you ever see The Godfather Part 2? Did you ever get to all these? Or did you just get the first Godfather?
I just made it through the first Godfather. I'm going to be honest with you.
You've never seen the Part 2?
Or 3. No, no. I know about them. I know. I hear the lore. I hear the arguments about which one's better, kind of like Star Wars. I've heard those arguments, but I've never made it through them. They're on my list, but I just have never committed.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know that. I mean, the second one is really good, but I don't know that I would say it's better than the first one. That's a hard argument to make. I think the first one's pretty iconic. The second one is good though, but I actually liked all three. But you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know when you. I would say watch it, but I don't think you're going to do it. So it doesn't.
That's big. That folks, that is right there. Almost 40 years of friendship.
Yeah. So in 1975, of course, she does Love and Death with, of course, the great Woody Allen,
Yep.
and then she does I Will for Now in 1976, which is the year of my birth, and then she does Harry and Walter go to New York, and then in 1977 she does arguably her biggest role. It is the role that she will become the romantic comedy queen, and it is the role that she may be most known for in her entire career. It's one of the all-time great Woody Allen movies, and I think he would tell you the same thing because I know he has actually. And it is Annie Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the movie that my aunt really enjoyed. That was like one of her all time favorite movies. So that's the one that I obviously I didn't see it with her because I was not even around. But I do remember like she had, back in the VHS days, that was one of her. She only owned like 9 or 10 VHS films. I mean, her kids had more, but her films, and that was one of the ones that lived on as one of her favorite movies. So yeah, Annie Hall classic. I mean, dude, it's one of those ones that I think you kind of have to see in order to truly appreciate not just her work, but just appreciate cinema in general. It's definitely one of the game changers.
Look, I mean, I'm gonna be point blank honest about it. I mean, you can't really say you're a fan of. I mean, if you're a fan of we are both fans of romantic comedies.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't say you're a fan of the romantic comedy genre and say I've never seen Annie Hall. I mean,
Right.
that to me would be like saying I'm a fan of science fiction, but I've never seen Star Wars.
Fair
You know,
enough.
like
Fair enough.
I feel like that's there. It's very much an iconic movie to the genre. I mean, listen. I'm very well aware of Woody Allen's history, and we don't know how much of anything that's been said about him is correct or not. I know Diane Keaton never believed any of the stuff that was said about Woody Allen, and that's
Right.
why they remained close friends up until a few days ago when she passed away. But so I know she never believed anything. I know Woody Allen's kind of a divisive figure just because of some of the stuff that's been said about him. Let me be very clear. He's never been brought up on any charges for anything that's ever been said about him.
Right.
So people have sour oats sometimes and sour grapes and are very sure about things sometimes, and sometimes that leads people to say things. We don't know how much of it's true. I don't disbelieve anybody, but at the same time, no one's ever been charged for any of these things. So I would still say you should check out some of the Woody Allen work, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But Annie Hall is one of those movies. I would at least give that one a watch for sure. She
100%.
does in 1977. She does Looking for Mr. Goodbar, and she's in that movie with the great Richard Gere.
Yep. Yep. I have not. That is one that I've not seen. It's not a Godfather situation. I've just never seen it. I know the title.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's some of these movies, and like I've said 1,000 times over. It's hard to go backwards and watch movies if they weren't in your like. When you told me you hadn't seen The Godfather, I was like, well, that happens. I
Right.
mean, even as a big movie fan, and a guy who shoots movies and stuff like that. I mean, it's sometimes hard to go back and see, even if they're classics. Like I know people that were born after the '80s, and they haven't seen a lot of the big movies in the '80s. They haven't seen E.T. or The Goonies, and a lot of the big movies that we take for granted and have seen, like The Karate Kid or whatever. They're like, I've never seen those movies because they
Right.
were born after the time. And sometimes, even though it seems like it's easy to go back and watch all these movies because they're already there for you, it's hard to figure out which ones you need to see. Which ones do I need to see? Oh, I don't know. So it helps to listen to a show like this because sometimes we'll kind of tell you and guide you to the ones that you kind of missed that you kind of need to see from these different genres as well. And of course, she does interiors, which of course is with the great Woody Allen.
Right.
And then in 1979, she does the movie Manhattan, which of course is with the great Woody
Woody
Allen.
Allen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're seeing the trend. So one of the great things about Woody Allen, as this is going on, and his relationship with Diane Keaton is such that as he's making movies, he said eventually he would only make movies for an audience of one.
Right.
So he would make movies for Diane Keaton, and he would show. And to my knowledge, this went on for his entire career. Um, he would make movies for Diane Keaton. He would show her the movie, and then if she was less than enthusiastic about it, and we're not even talking about the ones that she was in, if she was less than enthusiastic about the work, he would go back and re-edit the film and redo the film, and until the point where she actually liked it.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting. So she was basically his muse the entire time, and it's kind of a sweet friendship to me. So like these two were romantically linked for a few years, and then they stayed friends for all these years. For like another 50 plus years after that, and she still collaborated with him and helped him in his work, and even on movies that didn't even involve her, she still would help out her good close friend, which I think is very admirable and something we don't always see in this industry. So I do love that story.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, how rare is that, right? Can you imagine some of the ex-girlfriends I had, me telling you, Tony, we can't produce this movie until
Yeah.
the great Sarah P, the crazy Sarah P watches it? Yeah, not going to
Right.
happen.
It's not going to happen, right? So then, in 1981, she does a movie called Reds,
Yep.
which is directed and starring the great Warren Beatty. And of course, it's a pretty interesting movie if you've never seen it, because no, this is not part of her romantic comedy list in the genre, of course, but this is very much more of a drama, and it is Warren Beatty's very good. It's very well directed. It's a movie that I would highly recommend, even in the course of our current political state, which is this is a guy who goes over to Russia and he's trying to bring back some of Russia's ideology to the United States. And yeah, it's very much about bringing communism to the United States. And I would highly recommend watching this film. It's a really good one and kind of a lost classic in Diane Keaton's um, list of credits. To be real honest with you, so after that she does Shoot the Moon. And then in 1984, she does The Little Drummer Girl. In 1984, she also does Mrs. Shuffle. And then in 1986, she does Crimes of the Heart. And I'm not sure if you've seen any of these films. Have you seen any of these films, Drew, so far?
No, I've not.
No.
Nope.
She starts doing a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, again, she'll pop into some TV movies a lot of times, which is kind of great. And then, of course, in 1987, she does another Woody Allen movie called Radio Days, which I would say I'd put up there. And this is not one of her starring vehicles. She's actually just pops in and does. This movie's got a lot of great cast members in it, by the way. It's a huge cast. But she pops in and does. She's like a New Year's singer in this movie. So she's got
Interesting.
like a cameo. But
Right, right,
Ray
right.
it's a very underrated Woody Allen film. Have you ever seen this one by any chance?
No, I know the title of it. I have not actually. That's one of the ones I have not seen of his.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's one of his more underrated movies that people don't ever talk about, and I guess I kind of like it because it's done kind of as like one of those mockumentary type movies. So that's what
Right.
I kind of dig about it. And so if you're into, and I am into these types of films like Spinal Tap and all the Christopher Guest movies and stuff like that. So I'm always into those types of films, and this is a good one as well. And then she's going to work with Charles Shire for the first
Mm-hmm.
time, director Charles Shire. And in 1987, she's going to do the movie Baby Boom,
Yep.
which is going to eventually spawn a TV show. And Diane Keaton's not in the TV show, but she is in this movie, and it does quite well. And again, another romantic comedy, and quite a good one. Have you ever seen Baby Boom?
I have. It's a. My aunt didn't own it on VHS, but it was one of the movies I remember her enjoying. So I've seen it. Like when we were kids, my aunt was divorced pretty early, but my dad would go hunting, and so me and my cousins would be at their house, and they would plop on a movie when we were a little bit older, obviously. But I remember watching this one with them. So part of my film influence comes from my aunt's love of, like I said before, that was one of her favorite actors. So part of my heritage in film comes from some of that stuff. So it's been
Yeah,
years since I've seen it.
yeah. And I mean, you lived, not that far from your aunt. I mean,
That's
when
right.
we're in the field, you're within 5 minutes from your aunt's house. So
Yeah, I
it
used to
was,
walk there. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that far away, and we've been there. I've been there many a time. I had been there many a times over the years. So obviously, you've been there a ton, and yeah, I mean, so then after Baby Boom in 1988, she's going to do the movie The Good Mother, which is not something you got to rush out and see, but it's kind of cool because Liam Neeson is in this movie with her
Oh,
as
interesting.
as lead. So that's one of the things about her. I think she pretty much has worked with almost everybody you can possibly work with. And Jason Robards is also in this movie, and she pretty much worked alongside almost every leading man you can pretty much work with. And I think, and not necessarily in their biggest movies, but definitely amongst a lot of these leading men and a lot of other great actresses as well. She's worked with pretty much everybody. Um, she does a movie in 1989 called The Lemon Sisters, which of
Hmm.
course has her and Carol Kane. And I actually didn't see it in theaters, but it was a far more rental for me back in the day.
There you
Uh,
go.
yeah. And then she's going to do a movie that Drew has not watched, has not seen, will probably never watch, will probably never see, and it's The Godfather 3.
But isn't this one the controversial one because people say it shouldn't have happened?
Yeah, I mean, well, of course it's not made in the 70s, it's made in 1990. And so for whatever reason that seemed to upset people. This Godfather 3 is actually very good. I would say it's not I would say it's the worst of the 3, okay? But it's only a trilogy, so I mean it's not like I'm saying it's number 6,000 on a list of 6,000 movies, right? I mean it's the
Right.
third film. So it's not as good as the first two, but that's not saying anything bad because the first two are considered to be legendary classics that might be on the top 15 movies of all time. So
Right.
depending on who you ask, of course. But the third one, has Andy Garcia, and I think one of the things that rubs people the wrong way about the third movie is that it stars Sofia Coppola in one of the
Yep.
roles,
Yep.
and a lot of people have trouble getting over that. And she's listen, she's not bad in the movie; she's not great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where because of the nepotism scenario that plays out there, I guess, and but Sofia Coppola is a very great artist who's made a lot of great movies in her own
She
right.
goes on. Yeah, she goes on to be one of my favorite directors. She has
Exactly.
several films. Like, yeah, her catalog has got a bunch of movies I love in it. So
her catalog's amazing, and she's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful director, and she's a great artist, and yeah, she's in the movie. She's not as good, which kind of upset a lot of people. So I think that's where the divisiveness comes in on this movie. And at least that's what I've seen over the years.
Right.
Because I don't think it's a bad movie, and I've always thought it would probably, on a scale of 1 to 10, somewhere ranked somewhere around like 7.5 to 8. I would put it in that range. So not as iconic as the first two, not a bad film. And then she does one of my all-time favorite movies of all
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Not only as a romantic comedy, but just one of the all-time best movies. We've talked about it on the show before because now we're into the 90s. And I saw this movie with my Uncle Tom when he came down for a visit into Mobile. And we saw it at Carmike 10.
Yep.
And it's, of course, the Steve Martin classic, Father of the Bride, which is a remake of the 1950 classic starring Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth Taylor, also known as Father of the Bride.
Right. Yeah, and this this is my first memory introduction to her, right? So I saw this when I was however old I was back then, 13 or something.
Yeah,
So this would have been the first time I paid attention to her. I remember seeing it with my parents. I remember laughing my face off and really loving the characters. They're all endearing, and she's great. I will tell you that obviously we'll get to the sequel, but Father of the Bride hits a whole lot different now for me. Like
of
if
course.
it's on, I
Yeah.
can't watch it. It's a
Right.
gut punch.
Yeah.
As a dad of 2 girls, I'm just thinking about how much money I'm about to lose or invest. I mean, invest.
Right. No, I get that it would be a little different nowadays for you than it was back when we watched it the first time. I actually thought the movie it's amazing. It's an amazing film. For anyone who's never watched Father of the Bride, I mean that's your homework for the weekend for sure. I don't know why you haven't. I don't know how you're listening to us and not have ever never seen this movie, but it's quite amazing. One of the things I always found kind of sad about it is it's a happy movie and the movie is great, but there is always this kind of undertone in the film of sadness because he's kind of losing his daughter in his
Yep.
own way. Not really, but yeah, kind of, sort of, right? And so nothing bad's happening to her, but she's getting married, and
Right.
so that there's that whole thing, right? And then of course the end of it, and I'm not ruining anything. If you haven't seen the movie, you've had 34 years to figure this out. But but she, kind of goes about her wedding day, and he's dealing with so much stuff that he doesn't really get to do all the iconic wedding moments with her. And so you're kind of like, man, that's kind of sad. And of course, she calls him at the end, so that's kind of
Yeah.
the happy moment. And Diane Keaton is just perfect throughout this movie to me.
Yep.
One of the funny things about this film, as I was thinking about it, is that you and I are actually now, right at this moment, we're now older than Diane Keaton was when she was in this movie.
That's wild.
Now, of course,
So wild.
it was 34 years ago. I mean, it's a long time.
Sure.
But I'm saying that we are a couple of years older, and than Diane Keaton was when she starred in Father of the Bride. I think she's. By the way, Diane Keaton was an absolutely gorgeous lady, and she's absolutely stunning in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Something about how they have her look in this film. She's got every time you see her in Father of the Bride, she just has this amazing glow and this amazing energy about her. And every time she smiles in this movie, it just brings out this like almost angelic look to her. So I would recommend rewatching this movie after what I've just said, and kind of going back and rewatching some of her parts in this and some of her scenes, because yeah, she just looks stunning in this film all throughout the entire film. And Steve Martin, of course, is a legend. And Martin Short is a legend. We even get a cameo from the great Eugene Levy in this as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
And everybody's amazing. If you've never seen this film, for whatever reason, this is one of her all-time classics. And then after that, in 1992, she does a movie with Ed Harris called Running Mates, which is kind of a TV movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
and
that.
it again, like she'll after doing Father of the Bride and The Godfather and all these movies, she's not afraid to go and do a TV movie. And I don't know exactly the reason for it, outside of the fact that sometimes, a lot of times, maybe unfairly, for a lot of the actresses themselves, they have to continue to work in whatever roles they can get, especially
Yeah.
in this time frame, for sure. And that's just the way the industry kind of was playing out. We've changed that a little bit, so for the most part, but it's something that maybe she just felt like she just needed to keep relevant and keep working, and so she was not afraid to do TV movies, which a lot of people that are at the higher end of being stars in theater don't generally go to do TV movies. That's not normal.
Nope.
I mean, like
That's right.
Tom Cruise doesn't pop up in a lot of TV movies, you know.
Right. That's right.
Um, in 1993, she's going to do the last of her Woody Allen movies, and that's the Manhattan Murder Mystery. Have you seen that one?
I have. It's not one of my favorites, to be honest with you.
It's definitely not his most iconic stuff. I don't know what it is. Once we get kind of outside of maybe like Small Time Crooks, which comes a little bit later,
Yeah.
Woody's got maybe one or two really good movies that comes out. But Woody's really, really, really good in the 70s and 80s.
100%.
And by the time we get into the 90s, outside again, Small Time Crooks, which is a movie that my brother really likes too. But because him and I saw that one in theaters together. But outside of Small Time Crooks, which I do love, Woody's not. And he's got a couple good movies out there, but I mean, I would say that if you're really looking for the great Woody Allen comedies, 70s and 80s are where you want to be.
Yeah, and chances are Diane Keaton's in it, so you're
And
good.
our Diane Keaton's in them, right? Yeah, exactly. Then she does one of the voices. She does the voice for Daphne in Look Who's Talking Now in 1993 as well. And then she does another TV movie playing the great Amelia Earhart in the Amelia Earhart The Final Flight. So she does that one. And then in 1995, she does the sequel. And of course, these movies were directed by Charles Shire, who directed her in Baby Boom. And
Yep.
she does Father of the Bride Part 2.
Right.
I know you've seen
Which
this one.
has Oh yeah, yeah. It was on the other day actually.
Yeah.
And it has the great twist of everybody being pregnant at once scenario. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, this movie goes back to, like, I was happy it came out because I was a big fan of the first one, and so I loved this one too. But it goes back to like what we've always said about comedies and their sequels. They don't always have to get made, you know. But this one's actually pretty good. I actually do enjoy it. It's kind of a little bit farcical in what you just said as
Yep.
well, and but still a really good movie. We haven't gotten to this time frame in our show, 1995. We're still a little bit away. We'll get to this movie again, but this is at Farmore, and I saw this movie in theaters. But at Farmore, I rented this movie 4 times.
Good grief.
I did.
Good gosh.
So I did. I rented this movie 4 times. Father of the Bride Part 2. And the reason why is because the first time I rented, and remember, we've explained this before, at Farmore, I had these 35-cent coupons that,
Yep.
like, every movie was like 35 cents. And I think they went up at some point to like 50 or something like that, but they were really cheap rentals. And so we'd have this coupon book, and it was like 50 coupons. And so I always used that, of course, to rent movies there. And So I wasn't paying $5 per rental or anything like that.
Right. Right.
But I rented the movie the first time, and my grandparents came in town, and then I started doing stuff with my grandparents, and I just didn't watch the movie, and so
Oh.
and so that happened, and then they were in town for like a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever it was, and so I rented this movie. I kept renting it over and over and over, so I could watch it again, and so I didn't get to watch the movie until like they left. And so kept re-renting the film instead of paying like fees.
Right.
So
Right.
that's because it was like a 35-cent rental. Why pay fees if you can just keep renting it out for 35 cents? Makes more
Yeah.
sense. She's going to do a movie in 1996 called The First Wives Club, which is a pretty iconic film that did
Here's
really.
what's wild to me as when I was looking at the research of the list, when I got to this movie, in my memory, it's later. It's like it's somewhere in the teens. I don't know why, but it just always in my brain it was that way because I remember it being released. I remember seeing it. It's just one of those ones where, when I look at the list, I'm like 96. Was it really? It's just wild to me. It's
I mean,
just
I
one of those
find
ones
I
that just
find
stands
it
out.
odd with a lot of movies. I'm like,
Yeah.
did that movie come out in 1996? It's like,
Yeah. Yep.
but she's gonna have like 3 or 4 movies or so come out after this that are gonna feel very similar to this movie, and maybe you're confusing them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because
Probably.
because that's an easy thing to do. Like she's gonna do. So this is gonna become her thing now, where she's gonna be in movies with like 2 or 3 other great actresses, and it's kind of fun to watch them play off of each other. But this is going to
Yep.
be kind of her new uh, romantic comedy genre. Is that she's going to reinvent this and do movies where she pulls in 2 or 3 other great actresses, and then they're going to be playing off of each other, and there's going to be male leads that are going to be like husbands and boyfriends and stuff like that. It's a different way to do it. And there was nothing wrong with it, but this is one of the first movies that she's going to do that. And then she's going to do a drama, which I highly recommend if you've never seen it, called Marvin's Room. And the cast, it can't get any bigger than this movie, right? There's not a cast that's ever been created that can get much bigger than Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio,
Right.
Diane Keaton, and Robert De Niro, because those are the 4 leads
Right.
in the movie, and that's pretty iconic. I don't know if you ever seen Marvin's Room.
Nope, I have not.
Kind of a deep movie. I mean, it's definitely not part of her, romantic comedy catalog, but it's still kind of a good film. Um, then she does The Only Thrill in 1997. She does another TV movie, Northern Lights, in 1997. And then she does The Other Sister, which was a movie that came out in theaters in 1999, which, of course, is about a. Have you seen The Other Sister?
I have not. No.
It's a movie directed by Gary Marshall, and it's about a mentally challenged young woman who seeks independence. And I mean, it's actually quite good. It makes sense that you haven't seen this, quite honestly.
Yeah, it kind of sounds familiar though.
It stars Juliette Lewis.
I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen it.
It
Yeah,
stars
yeah.
it stars Juliette Lewis as a mentally challenged young woman. So this is not. I mean, like, you don't like her anyway.
I know, but I've seen it because
Right.
I remember it. And she has she ends up with like a boyfriend scenario.
Yeah,
And if I'm
Giovanni
not mistaken, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I sure have.
it's a great cast. I mean, it's Diane Keaton, Tom Skerritt, who I've worked with, and Giovanni Ribisi, who's amazing because now he's like, he's like a cinematographer now.
Yeah, he's a beast, dude.
I
He's a
think guy's
beast.
awesome. I mean, I love how he just, a lot of people go back to being like directors after they've been an actor for so long. Giovanni Ribisi has gone back to being a cinematographer.
Yeah,
That's
good for him. I
that's
love it.
That's pretty amazing. When I saw this movie, I was like, man, Giovanni Ribisi as a cinematographer is awesome. Um, so then after she does The Other Sister, she does another movie that feels a lot like The First Wives Club, which is called Hanging Up, which
Yep.
is a movie that she directed as well, because Diane Keaton does a lot of directing. And one of the things about her career, and I'm going to segue here a little bit, is a lot of people don't realize she was an accomplished director as well. Like she did this movie Hanging Up, which didn't do very well at the box office, but is quite a good movie. And then she directed a lot of music videos as
I
well.
did not know that. I
Yeah,
had no idea.
something that people don't know much about. And she did a lot of music videos, and she worked with Belinda Carlisle a lot.
Hmm.
Heaven Has a Place on Earth and I Get Weak, which are two huge songs for Belinda Carlisle, and Diane Keaton directed both those videos for her,
Wild.
which I think is amazing,
Yeah.
and so that's something that she was doing in the middle of all her movies as well. She's an accomplished director. Um, she was an accomplished dancer. She was an accomplished photographer, and all this other stuff. She's very diverse, but that is something she did. And then she comes in and does a voice, and is in one of the first Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes, early on, early on in the early,
Really?
early on in the early on in the show.
Ah.
Then she does a movie that, when I think of box office flops, this is what I think of. So a
Uh
lot of people tend to think of a box office flop as any movie that hasn't made its money back at the theater. That's not true. Okay, because you can make a movie for $200 million and it might make $390 million, and technically it may not have made its marketing money back, but that's not a flop. That's what we call a box office disappointment. Okay,
oh. Right.
where it
Right.
didn't quite get the amount of money you would like it to make, but it's not a flop. Okay, a lot of people don't understand the terminology, so that's what I'm trying to talk about this right now. So the movie Town and Country, which was a comedy, who has a very good cast, cost. I don't know why they did it for. I don't know why there was a lot of problems on this movie. First of all, it's another Warren Beatty film. There was a lot of problems on this film, and it cost $90 million to make this comedy.
Good grief.
I don't know why anyone would make a comedy for $90 million, but that happened in 2001, and the movie made $10 million.
Oh God.
Box.
Oh Lord. Oh
That is what we call a flop. That's a flop.
yeah. That's brutal.
That's a flop. That's a disaster. So when you talk about movies and how they perform at the box office, this is what a flop looks like.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's go through a few of these real quick. Sister Mary Explains It All, which is a TV movie in 2001. She does Plan B in 2001. She does another TV movie called Crossed Over in 2002. Another TV movie called On Thin Ice in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to do a movie with Jack Nicholson that's going to put her back on the map, because at this point, movies like The Other Sister and Hanging Up, those had kind of been disappointments at the box office. Of course, Town and Country was an absolute disaster. So her last big hit was The First Wives Club, and now she's going to do Something's Gotta Give with Jack Nicholson,
Yep.
and that's a huge movie. It's a huge movie, and it does about $250 million worldwide. And for a romantic comedy, that's a big number. That's a
Yeah.
massive,
It's huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen this film.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Something's Gotta Give is a must see, especially if you're a romantic comedy fan. And of course, she plays alongside Jack Nicholson, who, we're not going to get many more movies out of Jack Nicholson after this.
Right.
So everything
Right.
get with him at this point is gold, man. If you're a Jack fan, this is like everything he's getting ready to put out. You better watch it because you're not getting much after that. And then she does Terminal Impact in 2004, another TV movie, Surrender Dorothy in 2005, and then this is where I start inexplicably taking dates to a lot of her movies, and it kind of starts here. I don't know why, but I would see a lot of movies with girls, various girls, and I would see a lot of Diane Keaton films. And this is one of them. The Family Stone is
Yeah.
a movie that I actually took a date to. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie, and it's got a great cast. But it's a very sad film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. so it's
This
a
is
comedy.
well, this is pre Netflix and chill. So I think your strategy here
Yeah.
is get them
Right.
emotional and then yeah, no, I get it.
Right.
I'm
And
kidding, but I get it.
of course, I don't like Netflix. Anyway, I hate Netflix.
Right.
Yeah. So, but of course, I don't hate Netflix for a lot longer after
You
that.
got a ways to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 2007, she does Because I Said So. In 2007, she does Mama's Boy, which was a movie with John Heder that didn't really do much. Um,
Yeah.
then in 2008, she's going to put out a movie called Mad Money with
Mm-hmm.
Queen Latifah and Katie Holmes, which did fairly well. I actually saw this one with my mom, believe it or not. The
Fun.
first, but then I took another date to see this movie. So I saw it twice at the theaters. And then she does a movie called Smother in 2008, which is like about a mom who smothered, the
Yeah.
terminology.
Yeah.
And then Morning Glory in 2010, of course, with Rachel McAdams,
Yeah.
and that's a pretty good movie as well. Um, and of course, there's another movie that I took a date to. So again, like I don't know what's happening here. You know, I don't know why it's happening, but it's happening. I I, I like Diane Keaton. Don't get me wrong. I don't know why I'm taking women to all her movies, but it's not over. And by the way, it's not over. It's there's nothing on the list.
Sure. Sure.
So
Sure.
she does Tilda in 2011, which is a movie it's well, you can't really get it because it's a you can't find it. If anyone finds this movie, let me know because it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not something you can find because it was a failed pilot for an HBO show.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not something you can get your hands on really. So if anyone can get,
Yeah.
let me know because this is not something you can just you can't stream it and you can't find it. And if I can't find it, I'm pretty sure no one else who's listening is going to take the time to find it. So because I look for everything, but anyway, yeah. And then in 2012, she's going to do Darling Companion, and then in
Yep.
2013. Oh my God. In 2013, she's going to do a movie called The Big Wedding,
Yeah.
and it's got her, and it's got Katherine Heigl, and it's got Robert De Niro. It's got a huge cast, and I don't know what I was thinking at the time.
Oh no.
I don't know why I did this, but I actually took a date to a movie called The Big Wedding, and it's so stupid. It's just dumb. It's not the type of thing you should ever do, and it's just idiotic. I don't know why I did it. Um, I know what happened. I mean, I know why we ended up there. It's just, but I took this girl to go see this movie because she was a fan of Katherine Heigl, and she liked
Right.
Katherine Heigl films, and I was like, okay, great. There's one out right now, and so I took her to go see, and it's just like it's like lacking. I tell people about common sense all the time, and I lacked a lot of it on that day, because you don't take a date to go see The Big Wedding.
No.
I mean, it's
You
a
don't.
romantic comedy, and stuff like that, and I get it, but I mean, like, it's called The Big Wedding, So like that's
Right.
just a long movie to do, you know. So then she does a movie with Michael Douglas, and I think it's a good one, and it's called And So It Goes, which
Yeah.
is like a little romantic comedy. I actually highly recommend it, but I did take another girl to go see this, and a different girl because and this is about like a breakup and all this, like a divorce couple and stuff like that. And so a different girl, we did not get married and we did not go to this movie and break up or anything, but it's a different female. But I did take a date to go see and So It Goes as well. No, I don't know why. And then in 2014 she does Five Flights Up. In 2015 she does a movie. It's got like John Goodman. It's a really good funny movie called Love the Coopers, which is a
I've not
Christmas.
seen it. Yeah, I've not seen it, but it popped up on the list prior to her passing. It popped up on the list. Maybe I was looking at holiday movies. It's a holiday movie. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. It might have popped up on the list. Yeah, yeah.
I took another date
Oh Lord.
to go see this film. Another Diane Keaton film. I took another date to go see this film. Different girl.
Do you ever feel like you were just being stubborn at this point
Yeah, maybe.
because
I don't
you're
even,
just committed?
yeah, I
You're
don't
just
even know why
committed to it.
I don't. It's not. It was not. I wasn't consciously doing it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even realize I did it until I started looking at these lists. Like after she passed away. Like quite honestly, I just wasn't thinking about it. It was just like because I go see every movie. You know, I go see every
Right.
movie at the theater, so it's not uncommon for me to just be there at the theater and to take people with me. My mom and I go, my brother and I. You know, it's like all these people go, but for whatever reason, and I guess it's just because of the romantic comedy nature of it all. You know, I would end up taking dates to these films, but they're all Diane Keaton movies, and a lot of them are inappropriate to take dates to. Quite honestly, okay. Not because they're gory or anything like that, but because the big wedding is just not an appropriate movie to take a date to at
Now,
all.
let me let me ask you, did you happen to take a date to her next at least in her voice side of it? Doesn't she's a voice in Finding Dory, is that right?
Finding Dory. So Finding Dory comes out right after. So I didn't take a date to go see Finding Dory. I saw Finding Dory with my mom actually. Finding Dory actually comes out right after. I mean, right after I broke up with this girl. I broke up. A girl and I had broken up. We did not see Love the Cooper. Love the Coopers came out like right before, and then I and then
Got it.
and then I saw, and, I, and then this girl and I were together for a while, and we broke up right before Finding Dory came out.
Okay. All right. It seems like that's a date appropriate movie.
No, it seems like a date. No, it seems way more appropriate than any of the movies I've gone to with dates, for sure, without question.
Oh my God.
But I did do it. And then she comes out with the TV miniseries, The Young Pope, which she does 10 episodes of, which you
Yep.
haven't seen. Very good. She does Hampstead in 2017. And then in 2018, she does a movie that, again, I take a date to called The Book Club.
I don't understand.
Don't
Yeah.
know why. I don't know why. First of
But
all,
does
I took a date to go see The Book Club in 2018, which this is more of a movie that I should take my mom to.
Yeah, 100%. It's a
Absolutely.
very sweet movie.
Oh, it's great. And for anyone who doesn't know these book club movies, because there's going to be a second one,
Yep.
it's just a tremendous cast. It's Jane Fonda and her, and then of course the actors are like Don Johnson, and it's like it's this whole veteran cast, and they're very good. They're very good films. Um, and then in 2019, I did take a date, but it was my mom to a movie called Palms, which is her, and she becomes. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. And it did fairly well at the theaters, but it's a movie where she's kind of she's like sold off all her possessions and everything, and she starts this cheerlead. She goes in, moves in with all these older folks, and she starts this cheerleader squad for like all
Oh,
these
that's funny.
older ladies.
That's funny.
It's actually a pretty entertaining film. Um,
Yeah.
then they get together and do the short for Father and the Bride Part 3 ish is what they call it. And then she does Love, Wedding, and Other Disasters in 2020. Um, she does a bunch of voice stuff for Green Eggs and Ham for the Netflix show Green Eggs and Ham, which I've never
Yep.
watched for various reasons, and that I'll stop not talk about right now. And because we're at our hour here, so. And then she does Mac and Rita in 2022. She does Maybe I Do. She does Book Club: The Next Chapter in
Yep.
2023, which again, these are really, really, really fun, sweet movies. I actually saw this one with my mother. Um, Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, of course, Candice Bergen, Mary Steenburgen, and of course, Andy Garcia, Don Johnson, and Craig T. Nelson, and Giancarlo Giannini are the guys. I mean, that's a pretty epic cast, to be real honest with you. And Book Club is a good one. 2024, she does Arthur's Whiskey, and in 2024, the last movie of her catalog, which I saw with my mother and my brother. It was a mystery movie night movie last year, and it's called Summer Camp,
Yeah.
and directed by Landon Castile, who does the after movies. She does a couple of the after movies,
Yep.
and which was a franchise that did the first couple movies of, and I'm sorry, I said Landon Castile. It's Castile Landon. Sorry, I always mix her name up. And then it's Summer Camp is a really kind of a sweet comedy where these old people go back to the camp that they
Yeah.
had been in when they were kids, and it's a very good cast. It's Kathy Bates and Alfre Woodard, and of course the amazing Eugene Levy and Dennis Haysbert and Diane Keaton, of course. And I personally really liked the film, and it makes sense that this would be the movie that she would go out on because it's a sweet comedy, and she always liked to do these ensemble pieces, as you can see. And
Yep.
why not go out with a great cast like that?
The thing that's really interesting as we've gone over a catalog of stuff is that she's one of those, I guess you could argue that's the statement of a star, but she's reinvented herself multiple times.
Yeah,
And in Hollywood where, unfortunately sometimes it's as you said, it's getting better, but a lot of times, you know, uh, actors age out of stuff. She kept reinventing herself because Book Club, it's huge. It was a big movie. It did pretty
yeah,
well.
did pretty well, both of them.
And the fact, right. And the fact is that she was able to keep reinventing herself, finding a new audience, and some of it's just growing with your audience. And she was very mindful of that side of things. And I think it's really a testament for an actor to be able to hold on to that level of work and still tell relevant stories and again, remain funny and remain charming and remain lovely and remain endearing. I think that's like the sign. If I were a young actor and I was looking at someone's career, we've talked about this with Redford too, but if you look at Keaton's, the amount of work she did, the amount of diversity in her work. It's not like she jumped over and never did a John Wick or anything, but
Right.
like she did a tremendous amount of work. And, I think when you look back on your career, you want to say like, oh, I really put it all on the line, and she did. She made it happen, and she remained endearing the entire time. And I think that's something rare. We don't see as much anymore.
Now I loved her. I love her whole catalog because, like you said, I mean, it's very diverse. Got a lot of drama, and like you said, she never became a action star or anything like that. But
Right.
she
Right.
remained true to the genres that created her, and
Yep.
which were romantic comedies and dramas, and that's okay. By the way, you don't always have to be super diverse and do everything, but I do like the fact that she was willing to branch out, work with everybody. So basically, if you were an artist, she believed in you. You know,
Right.
and that's kind of a cool quality in a what is essentially an A-list star. Because
Absolutely.
not everyone does that. I mean, a lot of people would, not work with directors who don't have a lot of clout or don't have a big catalog, a lot of credits, and she worked with but her movies always were able to get huge casts, because people just want to work with people like Diane Keaton. And so that's
Right.
why up until her last movie, she's still able to get people like Kathy Bates and Eugene Levy and Alfre Woodard and all these great actors to come and do these movies with her. And that's a tribute to how special she really was. One thing I wanted to mention, because I know we're up against the time here, is that if you wanted to read, so like I think about a day or two ago, Woody Allen penned a big essay in the Free Press about Diane Keaton and his
Oh
love for.
wow.
So I would recommend people go back and read that because I have read it a couple times now, and it's really sweet and it's really well done. And this is his farewell to Diane Keaton. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people who may not like Woody Allen. I do like his work a lot, but it's a really sweet tribute to his one of his first loves and his one of his closest friend. So I think that's something to go look at, and put all biases aside for 20 minutes and go check it out.
Yeah. There we go. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of this episode. I'm not going to say we ever know what's going to happen. I hope to God, for the love of God, please let us be on schedule next episode. Good grief.
Right,
Um,
be nice.
yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, thank you again for putting that together, Tony. Thank you for listeners for listening to the show. As a reminder, we both think that you should watch Annie Hall. We both think you should watch Father of the Bride Part 1. We think that if you ever see anyone screening a Diane Keaton movie, you should immediately take a date just because that's relevant. um, yeah. Is there anything else you want to say? And we'll just close it out with that.
now do your homework. Watch a couple Diane Keaton movies this weekend, and peace.
That's it.